Good morning. Thank you for joining us. This is our Shotsuki Hoyo service for the month of March 2022. We're not going to be here next week, so you're going to have to look on the YouTube or our temple webpage next week or to join the Eitai-kyo service of the National Council, our national organization. But we'll be back in 2 weeks, and this is our Shotsuki Hoyo service for March. We will begin by the ringing of the Kansho bell outside. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. I'm not sure. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Again, this is our March 2022 Shotsuki Hoyo service. So we're commemorating those who passed away in the month of March, friends and members of the temple, and people who we've been informed of. So if you had someone who passed in the month of March and you do not find them on this list, please inform us and we will add them to the list. Shotsuki Hoyo list for the month of March. Alai Shiano. Doi Douglas Michitsura. Doi Eiji. Doi Aoi. Fujimoto Masako. Fujikawa Dean. Fujitaki Isamu. Fujitaki Motohiko. Fukumoto Hatsuguri. Furumoto Yuriko Lily. Hatakeyama Mineto. Hirakawa Hisano. Hiramoto Fujie. Hirata San. Hirayasu Najiro. Honda Shin. Hori Renosuke. Ige Saburo. Inuma Chiyoko. Ito Ben. Iwashi Mitsuzo. Kamoto Ichino. Kato Mitsu. Kato Seiichi. Kawahara Musaku. Kawahara Okame. Kawamura Saichi. Kawamoto Miya. Kinoshita Ronald H. Kiriyama Taketoshi. Konishi Akio. Konishi Ayano. Kubo Seijiro. Kuraoka Sakuichi. Kurashita Shigeru. Kuramoto Lily Yuriko. Kurata Tsuyu. Kuwahala Waki. Masumoto Keimechi. Mita Don Junzo. Miyashita Hisano. Morimoto Ito. Morimoto Momoyo. Morioka Chiyomi. Morioka Kikuchi. Nagasawa Fuyo. Nagata Toshie. Naido Yoshiko. Nishi Kiyoko. Nishida Joichi. Nishimoto Kino. Nishimoto Masaichi. Nishimoto Masako. Ogawa Chiyoko. Otake Torao. Otani Kazuichi. Ropyakuda Satoru Jo. Sakamoto Haruichi. Sasamoto Takiko. Seiki Kamayo. Shigeishi Tayoko. Shigeno Hatsutaro. Sukasawara Matsu. Sugiyama Tokiji. Sunairi Jokichi. Takahashi Toshio. Takeda Kiyoshi. Takemori Terry. Takenaka Tokie. Takenouchi Shinichi. Tamura Hisako. Tanabe Masao. Teshima Tokichi. Togashi Akira. Toenaka Tagoro. Tokorosaki Katsuno. Tomotani Hideji. Wakasa Kihei. Yamada Hasutaro Yamaguchi, Reverend Ken. Yamanaka, Mary. Yamane Chieko. Yamane Katsutaro. Yamane Shigeo. Yamane Tadao. Yamasaki Kuemon. Yamasaki Mas. Yamasaki Mitsuyo. Yamasaki Yoshimasa. Yamasaki Yayoi. Yoyama Ikue Yujiri Hisa. Namo Amidabutsu, Namo Nabutsu, Namo Itabutsu, Namo Nabutsu, Namo Amidabutsu, Namo Nabutsu, Namo Nabutsu. So those are the names of the people we know have passed in the month of March. And if you lost someone and we didn't have their name on our list, please let us know. We will move on to the devotional reading of the Golden Chain. Is that where we're? Oh, I'm sorry, we haven't chanted the sutra yet. Sanbutsuge, we'll chant the sutra first, certainly. And then, after chanting the Sanbutsuge, we will go on to the Golden Chain. I will ask you now to join me, those of you who wish to, in chanting of the Sanbutsuge. Busatsu Daimuryo Jukyo Sanbutsuge Kogen Gigi Ijin Mugoku Nyode Enmyo Muyo Tosha Nichigatmani Shuko Enyo Kaishtonpe Yunyaku Jumoku Nyorai Yogen Chote Murin Shongaku Daion Korun Jipo Kaimon Shojin Tammai Chie Itoku Muryo Shusho Keiyu Jintai Linen Shobuten Hokai Gujin Jin no Kungongai Tai Mumyo Yokunu Te Sonyo Munin no Shishi Jintoku Muryo Kukun Kodai Chie Jinmyo Komyo Iso Shindo Daisen Ganga Sabuten Daisho Ho Kado Shoji Mihuge Daten Fute Joi Kainin Shojin Nyode Samai Chie Ijo Kote Tokubuten Fugyo Shigan Isai Kuku Ithadayan Keshiyu Buten Yakuten Nokuman Muryo Daisho Shunyongoja Kuyo Ithai Shito Shobuten Funyo Gudo Kensho Fugyaku Hinyongoja Shobuten Sekai Bufu kage mushu sando komyo shisho hen shisho koku nyode shojin ijin nanryo ryoga sabuten kokudo daichi goshu kimyo dojo chosen kokunyo nayon nimuto so gato aimindo daten isai jipo raisho shinnen shoujo ito ga kokeraku unknown kobuten shinmyo zega shinsho hotugan no hiriki sho shoyoku jipo seison chie muge joryo shison chiga shingyo keiryo shinshi shoku dokuchu gagyo shojin ninju fuke namandabu 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 namandanbu Ganya shikudoku, byodo sei isai, do monai shin ojo on la koku. Namandabu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Thank you for joining in the chanting of the Sanbutsuge, a most revered verse portion of the larger Sutra on Amida Buddha. We will now read the Golden Chain. And you start right away with me, if we may. The Golden Chain. I am a link in Amida's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. May I be kind and gentle to every living thing, and protect all who are weaker than myself. May I think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. Excuse me. We will go on to sing Ondokusan, poem by Shinran, put to music by Yasuo Sawa. And we'll go on a count of three. Someone else count? No. Okay. 1, 2. Nyorai dai no ondoku wa Miyoko ni shite mo hozu beshi Shishu chishiki no ondoku mo hone o kudakite mo sasu beshi Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. The sincerity of our words is not always tied to their originality. Most of our people don't know that even if my bones were crushed, ground into dust, is a standard saying in Chinese Buddhism that Shinran picked up. He did not come up with that on his own. But he really felt it. He felt that given what I got from Honan, given what came down from Tonlon, I mean, if they took me out now and said everybody that says an Nembutsu is eviscerated and has their bones ground into dust, that would be okay. That's okay. For what I got, I'd take that. But it is a set phrase in Chinese Buddhism. This is, of course, our Shotsuki Hoyo service for the month of March, and I thank you for attending. We won't be here next week because we'll all be sitting in front of our computers watching the Eitaikyo service for the Buddhist Churches of America, our 60 temple member organization. Once a year we do that, and it's usually in February. It used to depend on which hotel was available, you know. But now we don't worry about availability of hotels. I'm not sure why we're in March, but we are this year. It's usually the very end of February. This service is dedicated to the people whose names I just read, the people we knew and loved and cared for, who have passed on already ahead of us. However, we also today wish to honor those who have lost their lives in the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And so may we have a moment of silence now to express our concern for them, those who have died in the conflicts in Europe between Russia and Ukraine, the invasion of Ukraine. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. Now, depending on where you may have seen a notice for this service, our service has an exalted title, which is either Living Well in the Realm of Karma, or the title I made up for the Dharma message itself, which is The Buddhist Path of No Limitations. So very exalted titles, and I'm just going to chat with you like I always do. Really, I'm going to speak mostly about the limitations we must put upon our behavior in order to live well, about the limitations we place on our lives so that they can be meaningful, fulfilling, and decent. These are things we want all our lives to be: decent, meaningful, and fulfilling. It is self-control, remembering our values, and restraining some of our urges that will lead us to live lives of great freedom, lives with no limitations. Buddhism is a doorway into the great wide open. The Buddha Dharma opens into that which is limitless. But we place some limits upon ourselves in order to walk through that doorway. We start out with all the limitations of biological persons, of mammals. And yet we long for freedom. We yearn to fulfill potentials which seem limitless. On the one hand, we're mammals, very limited. On the other hand, this sense of freedom within us, a sense of a yearning for something limitless. We have all the limits of other animals, only so much intelligence, only so much. Only having access through our imperfect senses to some aspects of the world. My older son does physics, not me, but you know, the dark matter and dark energy, we have no way of accessing them, and it's most of what's in the universe. Most of the physical presence of the universe is not available to our senses. We're mammals, we only see so much. We're also limited by our passion-driven natures. Another fact about ourselves as animals. By and large, events and objects and other persons either annoy us, inspire desire in us, or pretty much bore us. Those are the three responses, you know. It's not the only thing we do, but those are our natural responses as animals. Something either draws our desires out, or it irritates us, or it's kind of boring. And yet, we are capable of acting with some very real positive urges, some urges that are very genuinely positive as well. We can be kind, we can be genuine, and we can have a genuine compassionate concern for others. I know that many of you are now feeling very real concern for the victims of the warfare in Ukraine. As Buddhists, we feel sorrow for the suffering of the Ukrainian people and for the wounded and dead Russian soldiers, many of whom, no doubt, joined the Russian army because the Russian economy was not providing enough non-military employment, you know. We are sorry for all the suffering of the victims, the suffering of those who are both perpetrators and victims. It is not just the Ukrainian and Russian people who are suffering. Our anxieties are amped up too. Back in the 1950s, like many a baby boomer, I practice hiding under my desk for when the Russians dropped the atom bomb. You know, that desk was going to be the barrier between me and the radiation. At 7 years of age, I knew that wouldn't work. But I figured, well, maybe with the roof and the desk, maybe if they drop it really far away. But, you know, I was expecting it. I don't know how you were, but I was expecting it. I mean, there was that atmosphere that some of us, I honest to goodness, expected to be annihilated in a nuclear war sometime in the next few years. That was the 1950s. Like most of you, I was too young to follow the Bay of Pigs very closely. We didn't realize how close we were to nuclear war there. But I have not personally worried about nuclear war for 60 years. I haven't really thought that there's a lot of things to worry about. My health, your health, our friends' health, the environment, the job market, the tax system, the drain on our resources by the military. There's so many things to worry about. But I hadn't been worrying about nuclear war for 60 years. I am now. I bet some of you are too. It's become a very real possibility again in my consciousness. So, you know, it's not just the Russians and the Ukrainians who are suffering, it's us too. The whole world is now on edge. When we worry about ourselves, we're living in fear as mammals. As mammals sometimes must do, live in fear for our own well-being. This is part of our animal nature, and it embarrasses us to be afraid. It embarrasses us to be anxious. We don't like to be fearful. We don't like to have others see us locked in self-concern. However, remember that compassion you were just feeling for the Ukrainian people, and maybe some of you for the Russian soldiers? That's real too. That compassion is real too. That feeling is real too. The Buddha Dharma includes the teaching of the four immeasurables, the ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving which are said to be immeasurable in the sense that you can't do too much of them, are kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, reveling in the good fortune of others, and equanimity. These two are gifts of our biological nature, and we can see them in other mammals as well. Those four positive attitudes were traditionally explained on the analogy of a mother's relationship to her child, and this got very concrete. So kindness, metta, is like the feeling a mother has for her child, rather simply. You know, what a mother feels for her child, what a good mother feels for her child. Metta, maitri, kindness. Compassion, karuna, is like what a mother feels when her child is sick. That's what we're feeling for the Ukrainian people right now. It's just like a mother whose child is sick. Is he going to recover? What can I do to help? Sympathetic joy, this isn't unique to Buddhists. It's just that we were the religion that named it about 25 centuries ago, and before anybody else had a name for it, mudita in Sanskrit. But sympathetic joy, it's like a mother when her child succeeds at something. And the fourth immeasurable quality is equanimity. It's said to be like a mother's feeling when her child is busy with its own affairs. She's busy at school right now, it's okay. She didn't call me last night because she's working on her thesis, that's okay. Those four ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving are part of our animal heritage. The Buddha didn't create them. They aren't superpowers drawn out of the realm of nirvana. They are part of what we are. They weren't superpowers discovered by the Buddha. They were truths about the human nature that were mentioned by the Buddha. These four ways of thinking, feeling, and acting are part of our biological heritage. One of my friends here today, Alan Takayama, told me about seeing a nature film where this pack of hyenas are being driven away from a kill by a lion, and the one hyena has just injured a little in the struggle, and she's limping. This is the leader of the pack's daughter. Hyenas are female-led. What Alan tells me that the video shows is that the lion's coming for the limping being. They always do that. So the lion's coming for the daughter who's limping. The mother goes over and lies down in front of the lion and sacrifices herself. It's in our nature. It's in our animal nature to care about others. It's not a superpower. is something we all have. People can call that instinct, but I think it's compassion. It's the same thing we call compassion. And these four immeasurable qualities come out of our animal nature. Kindness, compassion, reveling in the good fortune of others, and being even-minded, just letting it all go. We can do those four things. We call them immeasurables again because you can't have too much of them. Can you have too much tolerance? Yes. The ACLU, protects the rights of Nazis. I bought a membership in the ACLU once about 25 years ago, and they sent me a request to update every 10 years or so. But I just said, no, I understand in principle, constitutional rights, yeah, it should apply to everybody. No, I'm not going to give money to people who protect Nazis, sorry. I understand their reasoning. We all have to have the same rights. But, that's being too tolerant for me to defend Nazis and their right to speak in the public square. Excessive. Can you be too kind? Not really. You can be incautious about how you're kind, but you can't really be too kind. You can't be too compassionate. You can be silly in the way you express your compassion, but you can't be too compassionate. You can't really care too much. And that third kind of capacity for goodness, for feeling and acting and being good and decent, is what the Buddha called sympathetic joy, mudita in Sanskrit. Sympathetic joy is when you revel in the positive good fortune of others. And I must admit, this is easiest to do with people who are close to you, your friends and family. For example, there's a news story this last week that some guy won $10 million in the lottery for the second time. So when you heard that, did you think, oh, good for him? No, I thought, well, why not me? I bought 7 lottery tickets in the last 20 years. How come I didn't get $10 million? Now, that's a natural thing. I don't know this guy in New York. And how the heck did he manage to win $10 million twice? There's something odd about that. But if you all feel good for him, then you're better men and women than I am, because that's mudita. That's what we want. But that is what I feel about my sons, and my older son, Sho, 7 months ago. And within the last 7 months, he has graduated from a much better college than I ever attended, with honors, with special awards, and he's gone off on scholarship to a PhD program in physics at the University of Illinois. You think I feel, why not me? No, I feel good for him, right? We can feel that. There's not a shred of, why didn't I go to a good college? Not a shred of that. And you can do that with your kids and other people you care about, and therefore we can learn to do it for others too. Maybe not the guy in New York with $20 million, so. Why not me? We can live positive lives, putting forth wholesome karma. We can live well in the realm of karma. We can revel in the good fortune of others. We can be kind and compassionate. We can remain even-tempered in challenging situations. We can resist our urges toward anger, towards uncontrolled desire. We are limited. We are not helpless. We are men and women and children walking the Nembutsu path, the unobstructed path to utter freedom. We will realize genuine freedom, and we will bring everyone along with us. We will one day on this path. For now, in closing, the Dharma message portion of the service, I'll ask you to join me in Kansho in saying the Buddha's name as you please a few times. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much. We're winding down towards the end of the service, which means the very next thing will be announcements. And I will give the one announcement again, that we won't be here next Sunday, although probably, I will. Watching out for people who come and didn't know. But we're not going to have a broadcast service nor a service on grounds, because we're going to be participating in the Buddhist Churches of America Eitai Kyo service. service dedicated to all the past members and ministers of the Buddhist Churches of America, our 60-member temples. And we'll be back here in the garden classroom of the annex of the Pasadena Buddhist Temple in 2 weeks. And we'll be here until the asbestos abatement is done and the mosquito abatement, because we think it's going to follow quickly after. So we're probably here for another 6 weeks or so. And then we don't know where we'll be. When we're actually, once we tent for the mosquitoes, I'm not sure. We'll tell you. Maybe it'll be over in time. Maybe if we tent early in the week, it'll be clear by Sunday. I don't know. But excuse us, we must abate the asbestos, and we must, at the same time, eliminate mosquitoes. But we'll be here one way or the other, but every week except next week going forward. We appreciate your attendance. We appreciate your participation. We thank you for your generosity, those of you who have been so kind as to send in donations. I will then either close the service or open the field for announcements. Anybody else have an announcement? Something I should tell?
Happy fundraiser is Tuesday.
Tuesday is the...
He has to have hamburgers Tuesday night at 4 o'clock.
Oh, hamburger habit.
The habit is either Pasadena or La Cañada store.
Okay, only the 2 locations. This isn't like Panda Express. There's only 2 locations for hamburger habit. The habit. One is over in La Cañada, right across from the Japanese place and right next to the Blaze Pizza and just 100 yards away from the Target. And the other is way out east on the foothill, right? Hastings Ranch. So that's which day? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
So if you're up for eating hamburgers, do it Tuesday and do it at The Habit, one of those 2. Okay. So I think that'll be it for announcements, and we very much do appreciate. Thanks so much to Alan Goto, our chief technology person, and Kathy Kumagai, who's at home putting this all into some order. Thank you all for attending today. I appreciate your being here. I will close the service with Kansho. Those who wish to, please join. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Nabutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Nabutsu. Thank you very much. And thanks to Jose Salcido Sensei for leaving the flowers for us. My wife arranged them, but Jose Sensei left extra flowers for us. I've always been especially fond of these carnations with the white ones with the purple